Good evening. My name is Patrick McCabe. I am a Senior Associate Director of Admission at Susquehanna University. We want to thank those students joining us this evening. We're going to give another minute or so before we jump into our panel. So just going to wait one more minute to see if any other students are going to be joining us, and then we will take it from there. So thank you so much to the students joining us and for our esteemed panel this evening. We'll get started here in just a second, but I wanted to share a couple housekeeping notes for the prospective students that are watching. As you have questions throughout the session, feel free just to use the chat function of the Zoom webinar. So any questions you have at all, you can put in there. And if you'd like to, you could even right now, for the students joining us, you can put your name, where you're from, so maybe city and state, and what major you're interested in. And also what year you are in high school right now. So name, what year you are, and major of interest. We can leave out where you're from, just so we have an idea as we talk this evening. That'll be really helpful for our panelists. And as you have questions, you can just put them in as we chat. And at the end of the session, we will talk for a good 45 minutes to an hour. There will be time available at the very end to answer any remaining questions that you guys have. All right, so I think we may have some folks coming in and out throughout the next hour. I think we can get started here. So I wanted to introduce Dr. Matt Rousu. He is the Dean of the Sigmund Weis School of Business and also a professor of economics. And I want to thank him for his time. He will introduce the rest of our panel, and I'll be back very, very shortly.
Great, thanks, Patrick. And that's a little bit of a fib, as I'm not planning to do quite that much work, but I am going to have everybody else introduce themselves. Start with Dr. Pomykalski.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. James Pomykalski. I'm an associate professor of finance and analytics. Primarily teach in the business data science program, but have taught a number of other courses over my tenure here, which spans now almost 20 years. I have been very involved in numerous occasions in global business perspectives, which you'll hear about tonight as well as a number of other things. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And for the students, and Natalia, I'll give you the heads up. We'll start with you. It's a long list. If we could get name, year, whether first year, sophomore, junior, senior, hometown, major, other activities at SU, and then also, if you did your go trip, where did you go? Or if you haven't, where are you planning to go? So Natalia, we'll start with you. I'll remind you if you forget.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalia Tureczek. I am a senior accounting major, and I'm from Northern New Jersey. I am currently on the women's rugby team, and I am also the director of philanthropy for my sorority on campus. And for my go trip, I went for the semester of fall of 2019, I believe, to Cyprus.
Thank you. Thank you. Alex?
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Tobin. I'm a senior finance major. I'm from not too far from Susquehanna, from near a city called Williamsport, about an hour away. I am the president of Theta Chi fraternity at Susquehanna, and I did my go trip also in the fall of 2019, but I did it with the business school program in London.
Thank you, Alex. And Desli.
Hello, my name is Desli Norcross. I am a sophomore luxury brand marketing and management major along with Spanish. And so on campus, I am a member of Harmonic Combustion, which is our a cappella group. I also work with Dean Rousu with the social media. And I am from Hope, New Jersey. And oh yeah, for my go trip. So I have not gone yet, but I am planning to go spring 2022, hopefully. And at Salamanca, Spain.
It's going to be all good by spring 2020. It's going to be good by summer. And so as Patrick mentioned, my name's Matt Rousu. So I'm Dean of the Sigmund Weis School of Business. I'm also a professor of economics. I've been here since 2004. I love teaching, love this role too, but I'm back in the classroom this year. The class I'm teaching now is called Game Theory, which is an upper level economics class. I think the first question that we'll lead off with, and I'll start with the students, but then I'm also going to want Dr. Pomykalski's input. So if you come to Susquehanna, your very first term, or very first semester, you're in a class called Global Business Perspectives. Hoping our students can give a little bit of a rundown of what that entails, how this is a great class to immerse you right into the business world immediately. And then Dr. Pomykalski led the class for several years, coordinated it. So I also want his insights into why it's so valuable. So I'll let whoever wants to jump in first can jump in.
Okay, I can get started. So Global Business Perspectives is definitely a very tough class, but it's very, very rewarding. So you're in it, like Dean Rousu said, your first semester of your freshman year, and you're essentially placed on a team of 4 or 5 people, I think, at this point, and you don't know who you're working with. So the whole concept of the class is to be exposed to all different aspects of business. So you do a break-even analysis, a SWOT analysis, a pest analysis. So you're looking at the marketing and how the companies operate, as well as the accounting. So like I said, the break-evens. And then you really have to figure out how to work well with your team and what works well. And then you have deliverables, and your final presentation is actually in front of a panel of judges and alumni who judge your presentation. And it's very formal, but it's very rewarding, like I said, and I very much so enjoyed it.
Kind of want to follow that up with so you learn, so basically, like she covered, you learn pretty much every aspect of a lot of about the business world and everything, but also it's just you really learn how to be like professional and act professional and like speak in front of people and give professional presentations, and it's just like really good like transferable life skills that you'll take from this one class. Like it'll seem like a lot at first, but like after you're through it, I'm sure you'll just like us, you'll like it. But it'll teach you a lot, and it's a very good time.
Yeah, so kind of to build up what both of them were saying is that yes, it's a very interesting class. It'll probably be different from anything you've ever experienced, but all of the skills are extremely valuable for if you do want to pursue a business field, like the team intensive, like every day, especially. I saw a marketing student in the chat, so marketing is very team intensive. So this is great practice for that. And the presentation skills as well. This is it's a bit stressful, but trust me, after you finish this presentation, like every other presentation, you've just got down pat. Like you were just ready to take on any other presentation. So it's definitely going to be a lot of work, but I feel like the rewards you get from it are definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'll follow on. As Dean Rousu said, I have led the course a number of times. I've taught in the course a number of times over my career here. One of the things I always find rewarding is trying to help students kind of navigate the process. It is a little overwhelming. It is a little bit intimidating at times for some students. But one of the things that we have built into the class is I think a very, very solid structure in which each of the 4 or 5 person teams actually gets an upperclassman as a coach, and a couple of people here have already acted as coaches and are probably currently acting as coaches in terms of the course. Again, one of the big focuses for every year is we pick a company to study. So this year, actually, the group is right now preparing their final presentations. They're doing practice presentations, I think, as we speak this week, and they're actually studying Lowe's Corporation. So in the past, we've picked many kinds of different companies. We've picked Snyder Lance. We've picked we did National Beverage at one point. We did Lego one year.
Burberry.
Yeah, Burberry. We've done a number of different companies in terms of studying that, and the students really kind of delve into that prospect, and their final project, as Natalia said in their final presentation, is really around recommendations for the company. So again, it's a very intensive course, but again, as the student said, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of being one of the professors in there, one of the times with Dr. Pomykalski leading. It's an amazing, what I find amazing about the class is, imagine there's a Friday, it's often the first Friday in December, and there will be 160 to 175 first year business students, and you will all be dressed up in suits, fully formal attire. going off to make a 25-minute presentation with no notes to not your professors, but to business professionals. And if it sounds daunting, right? It is a little bit daunting, but everybody gets through it, right? There is support to get through it. And you're going to wake up that next morning realizing what you just pulled off, and you'll know you can handle any presentation that any professor throws at you, right? There will be nerves. Nerves are normal, but you'll know you can do it. You'll know that any presentation, and that's the very first semester that you kind of get immersed in that. So it's a good experience to kind of dive in, and also a lot of the upper level students then get to work as coaches. Before I ask the next question, I do want to reiterate what was mentioned. If you have questions for us, make some more interactive. I have a whole list of questions I can ask the panel, but I'd love to get to your questions as well. So feel free to go ahead and enter those into the chat, and then I will make sure we ask our panelists on those. So want to talk next a little bit about internships that we've had. The Sigmund Weis School of Business is the only business school in the world that guarantees students an internship in a foreign country. Most of our students also will complete domestic internships as well. For our seniors, it might be a little bit different because it was the summer of COVID. But I'm hoping that at least our seniors can talk about the internship experiences they've had. Desli, perhaps you could chime in. Maybe you can chime in as well, as you are essentially a social media intern, whether or not that's the actual title. But Alex, Natalia, Desli, whoever wants to chime in first.
I can go. So I mentioned earlier that I did the London program as my go trip. And in that program, on top of like taking classes and stuff, you also get like an international internship. So I interned at a company called Green Wallet, and it was basically like an Amazon type marketplace, but for like sustainable and like renewable energy businesses and things like that. And it was just like a really cool experience. I learned a ton of things about it. It was a lot. I'm a finance guy, but I did some stuff in like marketing too, and that was really interesting for me. I learned some marketing things that are good to put on my resume, and also, so I'm like I mentioned that I'm from like Central PA, like rural PA in the middle of nowhere. At my internship, I was 39 floors up on the second tallest building in London. And that was just like a really cool experience that I probably would have never got to experience otherwise. It was just awesome. It was like probably the coolest part.
Thank you.
So I can go next. I actually, so additionally during my semester abroad, I had an internship in Cyprus with an accounting company. And the thing that was cool about that is that the company was pretty big. Like I think they're international, but the office itself was small. So I was able to work in various different departments. And it was really interesting to me that I got to experience like different cultures, because accounting is very transferable, but there's different ways that each company works within their specific country. So I really learned how their processes worked, and I was able to work with people who English wasn't their first language. So that was a little difficult, but definitely rewarding to work through as well. And then additionally, I was actually fortunate enough to have 2 internships this past summer. So I had one internship through the Sigmund Weis School of Business in Singapore. And that one was really interesting because I had my meetings at 10 o'clock at night, but it was like the next day for them over there. So that was pretty cool. And I got to work with 3 other Susquehanna students who I did not know previously. And so kind of similar to GVP, that you don't really know who you're working with, but you're assigned a project and you have to like work through it. You have meetings with supervisors. And then again, our final presentation was in front of the company executives and actually the CEO of the company. So that was pretty cool. And they ended up creating a fund. It's a financial investment company. So they ended up creating a fund based on our research, which was really awesome. And then my other internship this past summer was with DuPont, which is a chemical company. And I was actually able to obtain that through an alumni connection, which was really awesome. And I really enjoyed it. And that's what I've had so far. And definitely the networking opportunities through the business school are huge. So I think that's one thing that's really cool about Susquehanna, is that the alumni network is so vast, even though the school is so small. So that's definitely something to take advantage of as well.
Desli, that's a tough one to follow, but I'm
Okay,
still going to look to you. So
all right. So as a sophomore, I'm kind of just getting into the internship process. So I have not currently done a formal internship, but I can kind of tell you a little bit about, how to get into it and everything. So basically, the Sigmund Weis School of Business and just Susquehanna in general have a lot of resources for you when you start looking for internships. So we have, as Natalia was saying, like a lot of alumni connection events. So you can really get networking down. If you want to get an on-campus job, you can get something kind of related to your area of interest so that you can put it in your resume. So when you're searching for internships, like I work in Dean Rosier's office working with social media. So if you're into marketing, that can be something applicable to you. And also just we have the Career Development Center. So they offer mock interviews, they have drop-in hours. So you can just have them read over your resume and cover letter so you can just get notes right there and then. So those are really helpful. And for my Go trip, if you're looking for Go trips, there are certain Go trips that will guarantee you internships, which is great, especially, okay, it's already a huge standout factor when they see that you've studied abroad or went to a different country, but then they see you've interned there. That's another plus factor for you. So these are all huge perks that I found really great with the Sigmund Weis School.
thank you. Thank you. Dr. Pomykalski, anything to add on the internship front?
Well, I will say that internships come in various forms. We as faculty often have many alumni that we know, and so I can get a phone call just on a random day from an alum saying, "Hey, I've got these internships. My company's offering them. Do you know of any majors X, Y, and Z that might be interested?" And so what we'll do is not only reach out personally to students that we will know, but also reach out to the Career Development Center and let them know about that. That's why one of the things that you'll do here at Susquehanna is really get to know your faculty. One of the reasons I came here, nearly 20 years ago now, is because I had an undergraduate experience where I got to know my faculty fairly well, and I got to know them as people. And that's one of the great things about Susquehanna is we get to know our students pretty well. We know what their interests are. We talk to them on a regular basis when we can't talk to them. Obviously, in this COVID environment, it becomes a little bit more difficult. But I often enjoy students just dropping into my office, talking about career opportunities or what their interests are. And then I parlay those into kind of individual emails saying, "Hey, this is an interest that you might be." This is something you might be interested in. I would go for it. And then I try to make a personal connection with the alum in terms of doing that. So again, I think it becomes a multiple way in terms of getting students involved in various things and connecting students with internships.
No, thank you. I just want to, I'm sure you got it from listening to this, but our two seniors here, they've literally worked in a foreign country. You're graduating, and when they're applying for a job, their work experience is not just in the US. And Natalia's, it was DuPont in the US. Was that a US domestic internship?
Yes, it was. So actually, but it was remote. So I was at
Okay.
home in New Jersey, but I was supposed to be in the Delaware location.
So you've interned in Cyprus, and then you had a remote internship for a Singapore firm, and then you interned for a U.S. firm. So you've interned for firms on 3 different continents.
Yes.
Before graduating. Alex was on the 39th floor of a building in London, and they can, if I'm wrong, correct me, but there are dozens of other seniors who had not the exact same story, but pretty amazing experiences similar to yours, maybe not the 39th floor or whatever. But this isn't like something only for a select person. Last year, we had about 60 of the 135 graduates interned abroad, and we just started ramping this up. So this year's graduating class, it's actually going to be more than that, who have literally worked in a foreign country prior to graduating. We're trying to get it up where everybody wants to. Love to get it to 100%. But and Desli mentioned the social media. If you check out our social media pages, the Sigmund Weis School of Business on Facebook, and then Also the posts automatically go to Twitter, and then often they're copied and pasted over to Instagram and LinkedIn. It's her handiwork almost all of the time on that. So it's doing an amazing job posting about what's going on in the Sigmund Weis School of Business. So, and I'm, from my point of view, I'm thrilled she's a sophomore, because we're hoping to keep her to do this for a while longer. So a question came in from Ariana. If I was looking at the possibility of creating my own business down the road, what would be the best major to pursue? Is it a broader one or a more specific one? I think kind of what insights, anybody have any advice for Ariana on this?
I guess I can start. So I am a little biased because I'm an accounting major, but I definitely would say that accounting is a very transferable skill, like I said before. And I think that really allows you to look at specifically the accounting of a company, which is really what's going to be running your business. But also, as a Sigmund Weis School of Business student, you're actually required to take classes in additional fields that aren't just your own. So for example, I had to take a finance class, an econ class, a marketing class. So no matter what major you're in, you're still able to take the classes if you choose, even if it's something you're interested in that's not required by your major. And they're all taught by different professors in the same school, so they all are able to easily talk about, oh, like if you bring something up to one professor, then they could be like, oh, this would be a good class to take for you. So I don't think there's a universal business major, but I think for specifically looking to create your own business, then accounting might be very helpful, just because it would be very specific but also like broad enough. And then like global business perspectives, like I said, is very transferable as well. So I think I'm biased, but that's my 2 cents.
Good. We want the accounting major to advocate for accounting. So will our other majors advocate for their majors?
A little bit. So as Natalia was saying, is that when you enter the business school, you do end up having to take classes for every area. So you really do get a diverse perspective. I was just thinking maybe management, because to work with people, the people skills are really applicable. So that's my thinking. But also we have a minor that's specifically called entrepreneurship and innovation. So I would strongly recommend looking into that. It's about only 4 classes, so it's really not that demanding, and it can give you some really, if you're looking to be that creator of your own business, really good skills. But for the major, I think, at least this is what I did, because I wasn't exactly sure going in what business major I wanted, was to just pick one that you kind of generally have an interest in, but then focus on the core business courses first, so that you can kind of get a feel if you have a special interest in any of those. And then when you transfer your major, all your credits will easily transfer over. So it's basically like losing no progress. So that's what I would advise.
I don't have too much to add. I think that finance is a good option because I'm a finance major, and I'm honestly not really sure what I want to do. And also, I saw 2 finance guys in the chat. But finance is pretty interesting. It's kind of math intense, I'll be honest. So, but it really interests me, and it's very broad because I can learn about things from like a higher, like just like a higher understanding of like what goes on in the business world. It's very interesting, and it's just you have to read a lot too.
You're muted, Matt.
Oh, Dr. Pomykalski, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna advocate this way. I will tell you, I don't think you could go wrong in any major in the business school, to be honest with you. I mean, we've got 3 terrific students here from 3 different majors. You know, I could stand here and advocate for analytics. The dean can advocate for economics. But the way the Sigmund Weis School of Business curriculum is structured, is you get a really, really solid foundation in many of the different, almost all the different areas of business, not only through GBP, but also through your subsequent coursework as a sophomore and a junior. We have numerous courses that you can take that you will take as a Sigmund Weis School of Business student, that will give you not only the broad foundation, but also the depth in many areas to be able to run your own business, even as just a general management major. which is what Desli talked about a little earlier. So again, you can't really go wrong in any particular area. We have many different areas, and some of the areas, advocate across many different disciplines. So one of the things that we do very, very well, I think, is we actually have 10 credit hours of work in analytics. So we start at the sophomore year. You learn how to work with data. One of the things that I've been pushing lately and been talking about with my students is to create them to make data literate, to be able to understand how to work with data, not be intimidated by it, but how to work with it and how to utilize it to leverage and making good business decisions. And so again, that's a big part of our program. So we have a course at the sophomore level. We have a course at the sophomore junior level, and then again one at the senior level in analytics. And again, there's numerous other courses. We have a couple of accounting courses in the program. We have a couple of econ courses. Again, so there's lots of opportunities to do multiple things, even with just a general management major.
Yeah, I would. I have very little to add on that. So I will add. I sent Mitchell asked, is there a way to see the courses you'd take for business data science? I just put the link in the chat to our course catalog. Business data science is on page 117. But any of the given major, we have 8 different majors within the business school. And yeah, you don't have to decide right away. I think it's something like over 50% of students either come in undeclared or switch their major. And I think the number of those of Susquehanna graduates, it's something like 99% graduate in 4 years. We want you here. We will love you while you're here, but we only want you here for 4 years, and then go be productive, and then you'll be an alum, and it'll be a new relationship with the university. But it's a pretty big focus. We want you here, but we want you here in 4 years. And actually, there are several people who or figure out ways to actually graduate in 3.5 years, or as well, if you really want to kind of accelerate your degree program. Once again, we're willing to take questions anytime, whether on a specific major, programs in general, anything like that. I'll ask a quick question. We'll ask another question of our students, and also Dr. Pomykalski can chime in. But can you tell our panel, or can you tell the attendees a little bit about how advising works and meetings with an advisor?
I can start. So when you are admitted to Susquehanna, you are assigned an academic advisor, and you have this advisor, or you'll have a advisor for all your 4 years at Susquehanna, and they essentially help you build your schedule and with any questions you have. It can even be like potentially what might your job be in the future. So they're definitely really there to help guide you. And then also specifically when it comes to scheduling, you're actually required to meet with your advisor before you decide on your schedule, because they have to lift your hold. So they're really walking you through the process, and they really work with you on what you decide that you want to take. And if there's something that might not be in your course catalog, you might be interested in, you can always let them know, and then they'll figure out a way to work that into your schedule with you.
Thank you. Desli, I see you unmuted.
Yes, I just want to, that was a really good description. So I just want to add, kind of just coming from high school, one thing that really stood out to me with the advising was how much control you had over your own schedule, because basically by this point on, it's just your decisions on what interests you and what you want to pursue. But, with the advisors, it's not like in high school where they're like, you have choice A or choice B, kind of. It's just like, tell me kind of what your plan is, and I'm going to help you through it. So it's just a really nice relationship to have with your advisor. I'm personally close with mine. So it's just really nice to have that support system, or if you have any worries or anything about your schedule, you want to talk about your future plans, your advisor is there for that as well. So it's not only just talking about your course. If you have any questions about your future in particular, you can also go to them for that as well.
And I'm not sure if they talked about this, but their advisor, I think, is generally in your major. So like if you like need advice about what's going on like your coursework or things like that, at least my advisor is always willing to help me and talk about things like that if I ever need help in my classes or anything.
Dr. Pomykalski, anything to add?
Well, I enjoy working with students as an advisor. It gives me a different kind of role. It lets me get to know students at a different level, gets to understand what their career interests are. And one of the things that I try to do is not only point them in the right direction within the business school, but also look at other courses across the university that might complement some of the things that they're already doing in the business school. There's a lot of complementary courses that we can suggest and a lot of outreach we can do. And being here so long, I know faculty in other areas. I could pick up the phone and set up a meeting for a student to be able to go talk to a faculty member about their particular area. It may go into a minor, it may go into another major. But again, it's those opportunities that we try to open up to students through the advising process.
Yeah, that was great. The only thing I will add is something new we started this year, but we're definitely keeping. So actually our 3 students on did not get this, but the incoming first years did. We now have early advising. So as soon as you deposit, you actually get an advisor that you meet with who will start to talk with you, and they'll be kind of your faculty member point of contact before you set foot on campus. And that happens, I shouldn't say as soon as you deposit. I think it starts, that process will start to happen in February, I believe. I don't think it's happening yet. We actually have had a fair number of students deposit already. But it is that, you know, you could just kind of discuss. And if you have questions, and which is natural to have them, that's a point of contact. It's somebody you know you can reach out to. So our students here did not have that. That's something new, but it was very well received by our students who came in, and it's something we're absolutely keeping.
Yeah, I acted in that role. I really enjoyed it. I did some Zoom calls with students. I did a lot of email conversations with students, trying to help them get ready and get prepared for a successful career here. So.
And I would echo what Dr. Pomykalski said. I'm an advisor as well, and it's really fun to see students. It's fun to have students coming in the first year, and then you get to see them progress throughout the entire Susquehanna career. And the benefit for you on that is then you have an individual who really knows you pretty well, even outside the classroom. So it's a person you might be able to ask for a letter of recommendation or a reference or anything like that. But Ryan asked what I think is a really good question that I might take this one if nobody minds. I know I want to be a business major, but I'm not sure what major yet. Do you recommend coming in undeclared? I would, we actually have a designation now in the business school that's just majoring. It's just called business. And it's essentially like a business undecided that you could choose. Now, you can't graduate with a degree in business, but it would indicate you like business, you're coming in as business. And then you can choose which of the 8 majors. As was mentioned earlier, you have time. I mean, everybody has to take certain classes. If you know you want to do accounting, we'd likely try to accelerate when you take the accounting classes. You can still get out in 4 years. If we know you want finance, we would do the same in finance. In order, you know, but we have plenty of people who transfer over to those after a semester or a year. So the global business perspectives is going to introduce you to everything, but then so will your economics course, your principles of marketing course, your introductory data analytics class, as Dr. Pomykalski said. Everybody here gets 10 credits. I'm sure you've heard about the importance of analytics. Everybody graduates with 3 different data analytics classes now. So if you take that and you realize, wow, this is for me, then that's great. Principles of management, corporate financial management, right? You kind of hit all of these different fields, and you have a chance to choose what you might want to do. So it's a very good question. It's something that you really have quite some time to decide. Did I miss any points on that? Okay. What types of opportunities have you had to engage with alumni? I know it's been mentioned here a little bit, so I'll open this up to anybody. on what types of either trips that you might have taken or participating in Breakthrough or anything like that have you had to engage with alumni?
I can go. So, right before coronavirus started, well, really like hit, and we had to like shut down and everything. The SWSB, the business school, did like a trip to New York City, and we met with I think he's the managing director of MUFG, a Japanese bank, Chris Wilkins, and I met him like at Breakthrough a year before that. And while we were visiting, he came up and like talked to me, like remembered me by name. Like I didn't even have a name tag on, and it was just like cool to talk to me. Like checked up on how I was doing, and like I said, if I had any questions, I could like email him. And it was just like really nice to like interact with him. And it was like he wanted me to succeed, and he was willing to help me succeed.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if Desli, Natalia, anything to?
Yeah, so this year they've done the New York trip virtually, so they've had webinars for that, and I found that helpful too because they do a little description on what the alumni are into, what their business is like. So if you resonate with any of what they're doing and you want to learn more about it, it's great for informational sessions and networking. Also, I went to the career fairs, so that's when a bunch of alumni come, kind of for recruiting, and you can give them your resume, kind of just get yourself in their mind. Another thing that's happening currently is the Sigmund Weis School of Business is having a speaker series. So we have lots of alumni come then and speak about certain topics to give you advice. So that's another great way to interact with the alumni. So there's just often just a lot of events throughout the year for you if you want to speak with alumni. And if you know a certain industry you want to get into, you can always go to the CDC and they can help you find names of alumni as well to connect with.
I guess kind of lastly, just to piggyback off that, there's definitely like multiple and various networking events during the entire year. It's not just one particular semester, and it's really I think important to take advantage of those because that's ultimately what could lead to your connections. So for an example for everyone, I actually started as a freshman. I went to one of these networking events not really knowing what to expect, and then I met with one woman and I consistently stayed in contact with her. Then the next year I went on a trip called the Women's Leadership Symposium, which is where we took a trip to, the first year was Philadelphia and then it was New York City. And we were able to go to various different sites and meet various different alumni. And then I also met her on that trip and she was able to do my mock interview and review my resume. And then my junior year, actually right before COVID hit, she came to Breakthrough and I was able to stay in contact with her again. And she was the alumni who actually previously worked at DuPont. And that's how I was able to get my internship. So I think it definitely like just goes to show that these opportunities are there for you. It's really just up to you to take advantage of them. And the school is really willing to help you. Like I think Desli mentioned before, the Career Development Center is really good about giving you feedback on your resume. And they also have mock interviews. And one thing I guess that should be good to mention is that as a business major, you are required to take a class called Professional Development, which is all about perfecting your resume, and they have interviews and they also help you set up a LinkedIn. So that's definitely very helpful as well. So.
Dr. Pomykalski, anything to add?
I think they covered it sufficiently. Yeah, they're good at this. So
that was really good and thorough. I will mention on the speaker series, these are open to prospective students. And this week, it's kind of a crazy week. We actually have 4 separate events. We've never had 4. We usually average about 2. Tomorrow afternoon at 4:15, Alan Bennett, the former president and CEO of H&R Block, but more importantly, of course, the Susquehanna alum, is talking tips to ensure success throughout your career. That's at 4:15 tomorrow. Then we actually have 2 that are during course times, but they're open to the public as well. So Kevin Finch, who's with Macquarie, vice president at Macquarie, is presenting on tips for working and considering working abroad. Sarah Boblitz, who's a class of 2008. I think I taught Sarah in like 5 classes. So when she was here, She's the founding partner of Bid Boss Consulting, and her talk, it's 9 a.m. on Thursday, but if you can attend, if you have flexibility, certainly I highly recommend all of these. Hers, strategies for success when you don't look like the typical CEO in your field. Should be a wonderful talk. And the fourth talk is Thursday night at 7 p.m. Alton Crooks, the managing director at Fidelis Capital, is, I'm a finance major. Should I pursue a CFA? That's 7 p.m. Thursday. So we actually have 4. These are all open to the public. I'll throw a plug in for Desli's wonderful work on our social media accounts. Facebook's probably the one that we are most consistently updating. If you do have a Facebook account, could go on there. But we do try to keep them updated on Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter as well. We're not on TikTok or any of the others yet, but I don't even know how to do that one yet. That's not my generation. So, but no, would recommend that. So we have maybe 15 or so minutes left. Once again, please chime in if you have a question. There was somebody did put in the chat. I put pre-law in the application. Should I contact the school to change the major? And there was a response to that, but I just do want to throw a mention here. Business, if you are considering law school, businesses can be a really strong major for that. We've had several students go to really good law schools from there. We actually had 2 from the class of 2019 that went straight into law school, one to American, Carly Malamud, and one to UNC Chapel Hill, which is another really great law school. And that was Bree Johnson. And they, the business degrees served them well. They actually also both had internships abroad before, which, working in a foreign country, not just helping you get a job, but it can actually also help you stand out when you are applying to law schools, because graduate schools, law schools, they want interesting people, right? They want their graduates to be interesting. And when you can go in and say, oh yeah, I worked in Cyprus or had a remote experience in Singapore, or I was on the 39th floor of a building in London for my internship this past year, it really does make you stand out as something interesting. So if you are interested in law school, business can be a good field. If you are not, of course, business can also be a very good field. Another question I will throw out there. You talk about the classes you're in, like maybe even a favorite class, typical class sizes, the variety of things you may do in different classes across campus. Or whoever wants to chime in.
I can go first. So I think generally classes are like no bigger than like 25, I think is pretty much the max usually. And that's usually like when you're like in your first year or two, like in like the courses every other business major or every like general student will be in. Well, like the older you get, the less students are in your classes, because it's like your core major classes, and it's like I'm in a class right now that's only like 11 people. It's called the Riverhawk Fund for all the finance guys in here. It's like it's like a real time investment class where we work with the student government's budget. I think it's worth around like $200,000. So it's just like a cool thing that like finance people get to do here. It's like there's only like 12 slots. It's pretty interesting, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Desli or Natalia, anything?
Well, my favorite class so far this semester is actually my luxury brand marketing and management class. I find it really interesting because luxury brands just market so different from regular brands. And in our class, we kind of go through the different strategies, and she shows us like ad examples, and then we kind of analyze what they're doing, what messages they're getting across. So I just personally find when professors add that interactive aspect into their classes, it makes it very interesting, and you're applying very applicable hands-on skills that you would use when you go to work.
Thank you.
I guess so. Lastly, so just to kind of piggyback off what Alex said, our classes are relatively really small, and that's actually why I chose Susquehanna, because I wanted that relationship with my professor. Your biggest class will be your GBP lectures at night. That's for all business students, but that's just as a freshman. And then again, I'm in a class right now that's only 12 students. So, and that's where you can really form your relationship with your professor, and they're really willing to help you on any assignments. So I guess I have a couple favorite classes. So some are accounting related, some are not. I'm kind of biased again, but I did really enjoy Dr. Pomykalski's class because that was my first time being exposed to the big data field. And my mom's actually in the accounting field, and she was always telling me how it's a really up and coming market and how I should really learn all about it. So that was really interesting to me. And then right now I'm taking an auditing class, which I'm really enjoying because my professor, Dr. Oslansky, just has a lot of great energy. And then lastly, I took a cost management class, I think my sophomore year, that I really enjoyed because it was a lot of math and it really balanced the accounting concepts as well as the actual application of it. So that's why I really enjoyed it as well.
I've sat in on Dr. Oslansky's auditing class, and I would have never thought you could make auditing interesting. But it's pretty amazing. Like, the class is, auditing seems fun when you sit in on that class. That's a senior level accounting class. So, Dr. Pomykalski, anything to add on?
No, it's just I'm thankful for Natalia to get that plug in for analytics. So
We did the finance. I'll elaborate on a couple things on the majors here, major specific. Finance. Yeah, as a senior, you literally get the opportunity to manage a $200,000 fund. Like, this is real money. It's the Student Government Association's money. So you're looking through what sectors in the economy to choose. And then I'm sure Alex is studying a company right now, trying to figure out whether to invest. What company are you trying to figure out whether to invest in, Alex?
So I'm in charge of the telecommunications sector, and I'm looking at like Comcast, Shutterstock, and Discovery Channel.
Okay. And I've seen these presentations. I'm looking forward to seeing theirs in really about 4 weeks, actually. And it's stunning the amount of analysis that goes into this. But then real decisions are held. A couple other things with finance. We are CFA affiliated. So you could have a chance to take the Chartered Financial Analyst exam your senior year, which is something most undergraduates do not get to take. But that's an opportunity. The third thing I'd mention for our finance major, but it's really applicable to all, we do have 12 Bloomberg terminals. For a business school our size, that's a huge number. These are the terminals business professionals use, and all of our finance majors do become Bloomberg certified before they graduate. If those who aren't finance majors who want to become Bloomberg certified also have the option to. So that's a few things on our accounting on our finance. Our accounting, the biggest thing I would mention that really I think sets our accounting apart is the opportunity to graduate with 150 credits in 4 years. Natalia, I'm saying this without knowing for sure, but I assume you're on this path. Okay. If you're interested in accounting, this means you get to sit for the CPA exam in 4 years instead of having to go to a year of graduate school. And that means you're earning money quicker, and you are not paying for that extra year of schooling. Now, it could be graduate school is the right option down the road. Most professors, most of us, most business professionals that I've talked with would think it's more valuable for you to wait a few years. There's some fields that are different, like law school, or if you really know you want to go into data analytics, right? Like economics, my field is one as well. But if you're thinking an MBA or something like that, getting a few years of experience makes that a much richer experience. And actually, you'll get into better schools waiting a few years. A lot of the top schools will not look at you if you try to apply right away. But if you're out for a few years, you'd have a really good shot of getting in. And then Desli's luxury brand, she was talking about luxury brand marketing and management. It's somewhat of a unique major. There aren't many of those. We have alums now who have worked or interned at Tiffany, Lamborghini, McLaren, Victoria's Secret. So we had somebody go as a buyer at Ross Dress for Less. What am I missing? There's a whole
Tesla.
Tesla. How could I forget Tesla?
I don't know how you forgot Tesla.
Yeah. So I mean, but all of our majors have these stories. And we've had a 98% placement rate in the business school for the last several years. So if you come here and take care of business, you get a job when you graduate, right? It's been 98%, and it's been that way the past I think it's been the past 4 years. The year before that, it was 100%, which I honestly don't know how we hit 100%, because like on the 98% years, that counts when student I had that I really liked, his name was Justice. He went and hiked the Appalachian Trail. Like that counts against our placement rate. But I think I gave him a little grief for it, but I told him to have fun. Nick asked the question, which business major is less mathematically challenging? I don't know. Dr. Pomykalski, do you want to?
I mean, I would say if you're looking for something more in a qualitative sense, you probably want to look more toward marketing. Although I think in many of the marketing fields now, there's a more and more emphasis on looking at analytics and looking at trying to analyze various things. But I would say probably as a whole, the marketing area probably tends to be a little less mathematical in that respect. But again, you're not going to necessarily escape it, because these business foundation courses that you take, many of them are mathematically rigorous in terms of doing that. And again, it's not something you won't, if you're not that strong in math, that's okay. We're here to help. We're here to kind of guide you through this process. Many of the courses, even at the upper level, we could guide you with other students and pair you with other students to get some additional outside help and some assistance. And so again, if you're don't feel so inclined to do the mathematics, if you feel a little bit weaker in terms of your mathematics skills, we're here to help. We're here to kind of help you through that process. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. We actually have tutors for, say, economics and for accounting classes, and I believe even now for the the corporate financial management, the finance class that everybody takes. So there are people here to help. I would throw in, I don't know, like less versus more. There are 4 that I would think are a little bit more, and that would be economics, finance, accounting, and business data science, which means the other 4 I would think maybe are a little bit less: marketing, luxury brand marketing and management, international business, and management. But you do get introduced to, there is math in many of the classes, but I think there are 4 that are probably a bit more math intensive. So. It is 7:23, and we are set to go until 7:30. Any final words of, and Patrick has joined us again. Any final words of wisdom for prospective students who are considering Susquehanna University for an option?
If I can just pose the question the way that you're kind of placed it there for a second. So obviously, I mean, I'm very biased student. I mean, obviously we love Susquehanna. I think the business program speaks for itself and is a really easy decision, a really easy choice. But with all the students that are joining us today, some may be just starting their college search. Many of them are seniors in high school. Maybe some applied, have been admitted. So outside of the business program itself, which we know is highly prestigious, what other factors of Susquehanna that made it an attractive choice for you out of the 3,000 colleges you could have chosen from?
Are you asking us? Okay, sorry.
Yes. Yep. Sorry.
So I tell people that I know this too, but there is a very strong sense of community at Susquehanna. I'm sure Natalia can probably talk about this, but 'cause we're both in Greek life, but everyone is very tight knit, and same with the professors. Everybody looks out for each other. And it's it's nice having small classes where your professor, your advisor, and also I don't know if we still do this because of Corona and everything, but when I was a prospective student, I sat in on a marketing class with Dr. Emma Fleck, and I was just really Like I was just really engaged with how she was teaching, and that was like one of the biggest reasons that I came to school here. And it's just like the energy at Susquehanna is just like very good and very supportive.
Yeah, kind of to go off that too, when I visited here for a tour, I was really drawn in by the community factor. Coming from a really small rural town, it was just seeing Susquehanna kind of reminded me of home a little bit. And also, but at the same time, even though we are this rural school with a very close community, I feel like Susquehanna also pushes your boundaries with its Go program because every student has to go on an international experience of some kind. So it's almost it's almost like, you have your family back at home, but they're also pushing you to try new things and to be your best. So I just really liked that combination of kind of keeping within my comfort zone, but also challenging myself at the same time.
And then lastly, I guess just to piggyback off that as well, I originally actually chose Susquehanna for the business school and the Go program mostly as well, because I knew I wanted to study abroad for a semester and I knew that Susquehanna could really make it happen. And then really just fall in love with the community as well, as everybody said. And then your professors are really there for you. And I really enjoyed in high school having that really close feel because I went to a pretty small high school. So I knew from going on tours and everything that I would get that same feeling here. And then I also actually sat in on a class with Dr. Oslansky before I even accepted my admittance to Susquehanna. And then later that day, I actually finally made it official. So that was pretty awesome for me. And then also, lastly, I'll just add that Susquehanna is a pretty small school, but you kind of get like the all around experience, and people really do know the name if you go other places. So, like I said, our alumni network is huge, but if you say the name, some people might randomly know it. So, for example, I was at home over the summer and I had a neighbor who I never knew anything about Susquehanna before, and I was wearing my Susquehanna sweatshirt, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, my nephew went there." So you never really know who knows the school, but everybody's out there, and it's a great place to be. So.
Thank you. Patrick, anything else that we missed or we should have our panel cover?
I don't think so. I think you guys did another awesome job as always. I did want to plug a few things from the admissions side. So while we currently don't have the ability to offer students to sit in on classes right now, and truth be told, our students will be heading home to finish their semester in just a couple of weeks, we do hold visits through the admissions office Monday through Saturday. So if you're looking to come and tour the campus, you can definitely do that. We have information sessions that will talk about Susquehanna in a general sense. So you learn about the full entire experience, although our students did a great job of hitting a lot of those points that you learn about as well. So we're kind of limited in being able to do those two things. But if at any time any students here would like to touch base and connect with Dr. Rousu, Dr. Pomykalski, really anyone, or any of our faculty members, you're always able to I'll put my email out there. You can contact me and we could set that up, in addition to those visits, and we'll hopefully be holding visits in the spring as well. So you definitely, if things are ringing bells right now and you haven't been to campus, you definitely owe it to yourself to come and see this place, because it is an absolutely, gorgeous campus. So there are just so many, great reasons to come and visit here before we break for Thanksgiving holiday, and then we'll have breaks even going into, or visits going into mid-December as well. So you can go online and check. We have the calendar, should be updated right now for that. All right, well, I think that's all on my end. Dr. Rousu, Pomykalski, anything on your end?
No, it's appreciate you coming here tonight. I think we work hard. Like I was a professor here, and I still am a professor, but I switched over to being a dean. The job I have now is to try to create opportunities to make this the top business school in the world. There are many things we do that are really pushing us there. And if you come here, you're going to have some amazing opportunities. I'm sure everybody here is looking at a lot of great schools, a lot of ways you can go right. But I know if you come here, we will do everything we can to give you the amazing opportunities that these students and the other students who you're not seeing tonight are getting.
I have nothing else to add, so I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, thank you, students, for joining us, and then especially too for our panel. We appreciate this time you spent with us. So thanks so much, and everybody have a great evening.